Okay, so now the question here is what is business innovation, or what do we understand under this term of business innovation? If we start with a new business model, if we're thinking about that, for us there are four really important pillars. Experience shows that sometimes companies are producing a product and bringing it to the market or a service, and in the end, nobody really wants it. So the first question that has to be solved is it really something your stakeholders, your customer user really wants to have? The next question that you have to answer is there really a business case behind it? And as Marta already mentioned, business case not only means in terms of earning money, but you should have some case also to argue it. And the third pillar is, can technology help us with this idea that we have? In the sense of, is there already the technology this advanced that we can already use it? Do we have the knowledge in-house for using that, or what is needed really to make these things happen? And for us, one of the most important points is also, does our business model has an impact in the area of sustainability? Marta just showed you the different areas, what can be meant by sustainability. So if you take the middle of all these four, this is where really business model innovation happens. This is really the sweet spot. So in the following, I like to show you some examples, some methodologies or tools, how to get information or get to know more to answer these questions of these four circles or four pillars that I just showed you. One of it, perhaps you already heard it or know it, it's design thinking. With this methodology, the idea is that we put, again, our customer user in the center. By meaning, again, is actually everybody says the most important thing to us is our user, our customer, but in reality, unfortunately, most of the time, he or she isn't. So the idea is, before we start something new, and we try to understand really who is our customer, who is our stakeholder, what is he or she feeling, what is the pain that they have, what things would they make happy. This can happen also by doing interviews, so talking with people, going out to the street, or observing them. For example, if you're trying to do something new in the supermarket, just observe them, what is their behavior in looking for products, and so on. Based on that, we start at defining some first assumptions, some first hypotheses, and based on this hypothesis, we are trying to write down some kind of ideas, some kind of solutions that could help our customers. And these solutions we put first in a prototype. Prototype means we do not build the whole product with all the features that are needed. We just build a product or a service with the main element that are needed to solve the problem from our customer or user. And we give it to them, and hopefully we'll receive a feedback. And this means that we are testing it, our idea and our prototype. It might be that at this point we get new insights, new information from our customer. It might be that we have to go back to the beginning. So this is also one of the speciality of design thinking. It's not a process that is sequenced, that you start with A and you go through all steps and then it's done. You always can jump some steps back. And finally, if you really have found the best solution, then you start implementing it. So this is the design thinking process. Also about implementing and about learning is the other concept that we really like to emphasize. It's called the lean startup concept, which means we are not building a product. For example, let's take a car producer. He has an idea for a new car. He designs the car. It goes into fabrication. The whole process lasts for a year, and after a year, the cars come to the market and nobody wants it. So this is not the idea of lean startups. The idea of lean startup is that I produce something with the main features that are needed. I bring it to the market. I see what is the feedback from our clients. I measure this feedback. I learn from it. I optimize my product or my service or my business model in our case, and I bring it once again to the market. And this is like a circle. The advantage here is also you spend less money because you do not spend in the beginning a huge amount of money for producing the whole product or the whole business model, but you're producing small steps and learning by these steps. And the last thing, which also helps you in defining business model and finally getting down to the street, is if you're using Agile principles. They are now written here on this page, many buzzwords, so I won't go into these, but the main thing behind that is helping an organization transform more into an Agile organization also means that they become more transparent, more efficient, and that we break up silos so that department starts talking to each other, which also helps us to strengthen our business model. There is a company called Gardner, which really shows nicely all these concepts together in one graphic. So if we start in the beginning with our journey, we just have an assumption what might be our customer problem. And as I said before, here we use the design thinking methodology in order to get more information about what are really the needs. And as soon as we have that, and as we written down our assumption, our ideas, we go out and we test it and we get feedback done by Lean Startup. And finally, when it goes to implementing the whole business model and our product or service, we go over with the Agile methodology. So these are tools, methodology that we are using a lot on a journey of transformation for a company. And one tool where we will put the focus today is the so-called Lean Canvas. Perhaps you already heard from the business model canvas by Alexander Osterwalder, which is quite famous. The business model canvas focus on existing businesses to visualize them. But if you are starting a new project, if you're starting a new business or starting a new idea, in many points, you're starting just with assumptions. You're not quite sure what really is a fact and what is no. So based on the business model canvas, Ash Murray adopted this canvas and he created the Lean Canvas. The Lean Canvas, the idea is if you start a new idea, this canvas shall help you to visualize what is your first idea, first steps, and where have you to take your tests and to learn about more of it. So just a short introduction how it works, and afterwards I will show you a concrete example filled out. If we work with this canvas, you can actually, if you want, you can start with any of this field, but we recommend to start with on the right side with the customer segments, or on the left side with the top 3 problems. But for example, let's take the customer segments. There I write down all the informations about those customers that I think that for them I want to create a new business model. After writing down this customer, defining these customers, I think about what are their main problems that they do have right now at the moment, and write this problem down in these sections of the problem. Also, if wanted, below you see existing alternative, because it's a fact that if a customer today has a problem, he already found a workaround or solution. But the idea is that I can offer to my customer a better solution or better than the workaround. So, but I'm writing down what are the existing alternatives. And based on the problems, I write down my ideas, what could be the solution that we could offer to our customers. And writing the solutions in a nicer way. So if you're a marketing guy, this should be your area. You can write down the unique value proposition. So what is the clear message that I want to give to our customers? And then the question is, how can I deliver this solution, this message to our customers? Because it doesn't help us a lot if we have a cool business model, but nobody knows from it. So which channels are we using there? And the key metrics area defines what do we have to test, because you have to understand that everything that we are writing here, well, not everything, but it might be everything or part of them, are still assumptions or still ideas. For example, in the customer segments, you wrote down some definitions. The sources of this definition you have by gut feelings or by information from your customer relationship management system, but you do not really know perhaps who is really your customer. So the key metrics here indicate what shall happen that I know that really my project or my idea really fits to a problem or really helps my customer. And on the bottom, there's the cost structure and the revenue streams. I think mostly self-explained. So what does it all cost to us, and where do we see revenues coming in? And there is also one field on the top. It's called unfair advantage. In my experience, it's one of the most difficult to answer, especially if you begin. The idea is there, what are the points that it makes difficult for other organizations to copy our idea? So I think the best is to show it to you by an example. Let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2008. There was a company called Airbed Breakfast. Now it's called Airbnb. And let's just assume that they filled out the lean canvas when they first had their idea to start their bed and breakfast. So what you can see here is we start with the customer segments. So we are thinking about who might be our customers in our business model. So we have two kinds of customers. The one are the travelers that are looking for a cheap accommodation, and the other customer are hosts, persons who have a spa room, who can rent a room or even a bed. And then the thing is thinking about what are their problems, what are their pains at the current situation. So for example, for the travelers, their problem is, for them, it's hard to find cheap or affordable accommodation when they're traveling. Or if they stay in a hotel, they don't have this authentic experience with locals because it's all super artificial in the hotel. And on the other side, the hosts, they have a spare bed, but they have no possibility to rent their bed or monetize this spare room. So our idea in this case, for example, would be we build an online service, and you know the story, where travelers can book and hosts can publish their beds or their rooms. So the unique value proposition, for example, here is if you book your accommodation with Airbed and Breakfast, you get an authentic experience. And if you promote your free room, you can gain an extra monetization of your room. How do our clients, our customer, get aware of that? And one channel can be through recommendation, so mouth by mouth, or for example, with all these advertisement instruments like online, and I think it should be online and offline advertising. How do we know that this concept, our idea, works? We have two key metrics. The one is if we see that there are several numbers of person going to our website and checking out the booking options. For us, this is an indication that there should be a demand, a need of this solution. And if we also have a certain amount of hosts that want to promote their rooms on our website, it also gives us a feedback that we're on the right track. And on the below, you see the costs and the revenue streams. I do not go into details now for that. So this is the idea that you can use the lean canvas if you have a new idea for a business model. And based on that, we can now go further on and think, well, now we have a business model. How does it look like if we want to transform it into a sustainable business model?